You may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, calling people on your codec while holding specific items can sometimes cause people to comment on it. If Snake's holding cigarettes, Naomi will give him a lecture about the dangers of smoking and how it causes lung cancer, while Mei Ling will straight up shit on Snake claiming he's afraid of living. Nastasha will be more laid back since she also smokes, but will still warn Snake about it causing cancer. Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, while Snake is crawling through the vents to get to the DARPA chief, you'll pass by Merrill's room right below you just before you get to the chief's room. If you look down, you'll get a glimpse of Merrill doing sit-ups. Each time the player goes back and re-enters the vent, she'll be doing a different workout each time. She'll be doing some push-ups after the sit-ups, then she'll be doing some leg stretches after that. On the fourth time, Merrill will be doing the same exercises, but this time in her panties, in all its pixelated glory. Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, if Snake doesn't get the SOCOM before getting to the DARPA chief, when Merrill holds Snake at gunpoint, during the cutscene, Snake will hold the tip of her gun with his hand, rather than pointing his gun at her and calling her a noob.
Scared look in your eyes. They're rookies' eyes if I ever saw them.
I told you I'm no rookie!
Finding a hidden cutscene like this would be pretty cool in our time. But for a 1998 PS1 game to have this level of attention to detail, it really shows that this game truly was written and directed by Hideo Kojima.
Kojima is a god!
Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, calling Mei Ling is your main form of saving. However, if Snake keeps calling Mei Ling and chooses not to save, she'll get annoyed on the third time and will tell Snake to stop calling her. On the fourth call, she'll say nothing and just stare at you while you choose whether or not to save. On the sixth consecutive call that you don't save, Mei Ling will stick her tongue out at Snake before ending the call, mocking you for being a jerk. Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, if you beat Revolver Ocelot after his boss fight, he'll normally say, "You're pretty good," complimenting you on beating him. However, if you die multiple times during his boss fight, he'll have an alternate dialogue for Snake.
I'm disappointed. You're no match for the boss. Playtime's over, friend. You're not cut out for war.
And he'll also call you an idiot if you run into the C4 traps.
You idiot!
Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, if you chase Merrill into the ladies' bathroom after finding her disguised as a soldier, calling Nastasha while in the ladies' bathroom will prompt her to yell at Snake, telling him he's not allowed to go in there regardless of the mission. While Mei Ling will straight up shit on Snake and call him a pervert if you try to save. But if you call the boys like Campbell, Otacon, or Miller while in the women's restroom, they'll double down by suggesting Snake to check each and every stall just in case.
There's only one exit, right? Well, then she must still be in there.
Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, if Snake rushes to the last stall in the ladies' bathroom and chasing Merrill, the cutscene afterwards will play like normal, but she will be wearing her panties in the cutscene because she didn't have enough time to put on her pants while changing. Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, after meeting with Merrill in the Warhead storage building before the Psycho Mantis boss fight, looking at her in first-person view for a while will make her comment and progressively turn red out of embarrassment.
Don't stare at me like that.
Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, before the Psycho Mantis boss fight starts, while you're in the commander's room, pressing the first person button will show the view through Merrill's eyes. During the boss fight, however, going in first person will let you see through Mantis's point of view, showing that he could read your mind. Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, it's pretty common knowledge that calling Campbell several times during the Psycho Mantis boss fight will make him tell Snake to change controller ports to defeat Mantis. However, if you die without changing controller ports, Campbell will then tell Snake the other secret to defeating Mantis in the next fight, which is destroying the statues in the back. The statues are normally indestructible until Campbell tells you to destroy them. This is most likely the most common way to beat Mantis if you're playing on an emulator, or have a broken port. Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, if the player hits Merrill at any time, she will slap Snake in retaliation. However, if Snake hits her at the end of the canyon with the wolf dogs, right before the first Sniper Wolf boss fight, she will whistle for a wolf dog to attack Snake instead. If you manage to hide in a box after hitting her, a puppy will arrive to piss on the box instead of attacking. Later, when you're on your way to the armory to get the sniper, you can use the same box to get past the other wolf dogs without getting attacked due to the smell of the piss. Just a fun fact, even though you may already know this, but in the first Metal Gear Solid game, the melody that plays during the Konami logo is the beginning part of End of the Dark, which which happens to be the theme song of Policenauts, Hideo Kojima's previous game and was also released by Konami in Japan back in 1994. There are also posters of Policenauts scattered around Shadow Moses in the PS1 version. It's also the first game that Yoji Shinkawa ever worked on. He's the guy who made all the Metal Gear art. Just a fun fact, even though